And we are live. This is the Wrap It Up on Blast Raps post-game show. As always, my name is Sheldon Alexander, and this episode of Wrap It Up is brought to you by Clean Cuts Barbershop, 2013 Danforth Avenue in the east end of Toronto. Clean Cuts, the multicultural barbers that will always keep you fresh for any and all occasions. So go see Skip and the crew. As a wise man once said,
Tell them that I sent ya.
Check them out on Instagram at Clean Cuts Toronto or give them a call, 416-917-4833 to book your appointments now. Wrap it up, fans. How y'all feeling? I'm glad to be back. Apologies, I've been away. It's been a long time. Shouldn't have left you without adult pod to step
I
to.
knew you were going to say that.
But I've been sick. It's been beautiful to get my voice back finally.
Yes.
Because the past few games, I can't even lie. I tried to test it out during the game. I'm watching and I'm like, can I actually talk consistently?
Did you do it in the
15
mirror?
15 seconds. No. While I'm just sitting on my couch.
This is Sheldon. This is Sheldon.
Can I actually just talk for 15 consecutive seconds without coughing or sniffling into the mic?
Yeah, that would
I
be
couldn't do
fun.
it, and it was annoying. And I'm like, I'm not going back through and spending an hour to edit out every single cough.
Yeah.
It's just not a thing. So took a couple games off, tried to get back, and now the voice, still not a hundo P, but good enough to get the job done. And more importantly, though, happy to be here with the crew, because regardless of how the voice is feeling, it always helps out when I got some extra voices along with me. So first off, Mikey, how you doing, man? How you feeling?
Good, man. I'm glad to be back. It's been a while for me, too. Excited. Big Raptors win. Big win.
Huge Raptors win. Q, how you feeling, man? What's going on?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Glad to be back.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You feeling good?
Always.
Feeling better after the Raps win?
I want to start this on something. And guys, It's not a sour note. It's just a segue into see how far the Raptors have come. Of course, we won the championship, but today's an anniversary for the Raptors. I'm not sure if we all know about this.
Yeah.
But today's January 22nd.
It is.
And 14 years ago, Kobe dropped 81 on us.
Oof.
So you remember those times, right? Going through all the whole Vince Carter saga, all that.
Before being champions.
To now being champions. To now having a team that, again, they doubted, but they're motivated. And it's almost just as fun, if not more, than it was last year.
Do you know what? It's funny you bring that up because it's like, before winning the championship, the most famous moment in Raptors history is maybe the dunk contest or Kobe scoring 81.
Yeah.
Depending on which side you look at it. Yep. And so on the anniversary, the 81 points is still something that will always just be incredible because I still can't believe it, even though I've seen it and we've seen the highlights all the time and all that. And shouts to McAuliffe, who always brings this up, but the Jim Todd interview at halftime where he says, you know, Kobe had 26 or whatever in the first half, so our game plan is to let Kobe get his and try to shut down the rest of the team. Like, that's so incredible, right?
I know.
But to now be like, hey, doesn't matter. We the champs now.
Kobe actually had a little skit today, too, with Jalen Rose. I don't know if he's caught that.
No, so that's from Jalen when he signed with ESPN a couple years ago.
Oh, Jalen
had a sitcom.
Yeah.
And that was like one of the scenes from the sitcom.
Funny piece, very
where
funny
Kobe
piece.
walks into him and just keeps making 81
Kobe
jokes.
he ordered a vodka, something like that, and the waiter asked how many olives he wants, and he paused and he said 81. It was a good little skit. But I mean, anyways, like I said, right now we are, Raptors champions, leading the division at almost the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Life's good, right?
Life is good if you're a Raptors fan as they come out with another win against Philadelphia 76ers
Again.
in a big boy game, as I like to call them. Raptors win 107-95, and it was an interesting game because there's no Joel Embiid for the Sixers. But if you ask Raptors fans,
Gasol.
well, Raptors fans aren't going to complain about injuries because they've obviously dealt with a season-long bite of the injury bug. So at the end of the day, some people might even say that the Sixers have been playing better without Embiid. But I'll start with you, Q. What did you make of the Sixers and just how they looked running and gunning with Ben Simmons leading the way? And, hey, the Sixers were looking really good in this game for the majority of it, no?
Yeah. And I think, you know, as Raptor fans, you've just witnessed when you have some key guys out, other guys have to step up. And especially in Philly where a lot of those guys, I mean, you most of you guys couldn't even remember who was on the court
Yeah.
for most of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Right, where a lot of those guys kind of come out of nowhere, but they are NBA players, so everybody in the league
Yeah.
can play, and they come in, they have something to prove,
Mhm.
so they went at it.
They hit a lot of open corner threes.
Yeah,
It's true.
but the
And-
rotation was there, and they were running, they were playing defense.
Yeah, the Mike Scotts and the Thibulls, and I
Mike
mean,
Scott kind of always. hits
I mean,
Toronto,
the 76ers
but,
always
right? But
do.
it was more like the Norvell Pells and the
Thibault.
Shakes, the Shake Miltons.
Yeah.
and, Shake Milton came in. I think he hit 2 threes early.
yeah.
But
they
even
were running early.
we've always said the
Horklaw's had
70
17 off the bench.
the 76ers bench, I don't know why they always play inspired against the Raptors. So it seems I don't watch many 76er games.
No, I know
against
what you're
that, but
saying.
you know what I mean? They play hard.
I think the thing with the Sixers watching them tonight, it was kind of like, getting a glimpse of what people are talking about in terms of Ben Simmons leading the charge
Yes.
and Embiid not there to slow the game down and Embiid not ball stopping.
And the narrative in Toronto too could have been just Embiid had he been playing, right?
Yeah.
So it was a different whole
But
scheme.
Simmons just running up and down. They're getting out in transition. They're moving the ball, the ball going from corner to corner. And early on, the Raptors defense, I mean,
suspect.
it looked very suspect. Not like the Raptors defense that we've come to know, right? And I mean, the Raptors were down 35-26 after one. Should also mention, I guess Patrick McCaw got injured. Someone sent me a text message. My guy, I shouldn't, or maybe I shouldn't say who it is. I don't know if I should, but someone sent me a message saying with the update of Patrick McCaw's injury, but
Trade candidate.
broken nose, but will
okay.
travel with the team.
He'll just wear the
Patrick
Batman
McCaw
mask.
is the
He'll be
update
good.
that I got here.
Josh Richardson
Yeah.
also got hurt.
So, I mean, at that point, though, I know Patrick McCaw seems to be a huge talking point for Raptor fans for whatever reason, but he goes down. But at the end of the day, Raptors go on a 12-5 run early on in that second quarter, cut the lead to 5, and their offense just started to look really good. And it was the same trend that we've been seeing since he's come back from injury. It was Norm Powell, who was doing a really good job in this game, I thought, of just getting to the cup. What do you make of Norm so far, Q? I'll start with you, just in terms of what you're seeing with Norm's confidence since he's come back from injury.
What a couple weeks can do for you, right?
Yeah.
But the story is when are we trading Norm and who can we get for Norm? And
Yep.
now Norm
You
is
wouldn't even trade him.
indispensable.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
can't. We were having this conversation in our group chat the other day, and I was like, when there's a rumor of Norm for JJ Redick,
yeah.
right?
No,
And
not a
you
chance.
can't do that because JJ Redick, he's gonna
He's a
come
shooter.
in, he's gonna hit
Spot-up
threes,
shooter. Yeah.
but Norm does more and
Creates
is
his
more
own shot.
valuable to this team
Yeah.
than a JJ Redick would be. And to me, unless you're getting somebody who's gonna come in and be your number one option, you can't trade Norm.
Yeah, with Pascal playing the way he's been playing, slow process coming back.
Yeah.
The like we said, the guy creating a shot most effectively has been Norm.
Yeah.
I mean, I know his efficiency is crazy from behind the arc, but that's not that much fluke, right? So as he continues to play this way, his usage rate's going to go up. He's going to get more time. I know he's been mostly like the sixth man, but the last 3 games, the numbers have been crazy.
Oh, it's
The
the
If he
last
could-
5.
last 5, yeah. But
Last
he's been
I think
5,
it's
and then he
6.
got hurt.
It's
No,
6 games
6
since
games.
he's been back.
And this was his first game under 20, and he
Yeah.
scored 18,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But even if you go to the games before he
games
got
before,
hurt,
he was the
you
guy.
add
Oh,
on
that- yeah,
another
yeah.
4 games.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was 1 of 5 from beyond the 3-point land in this game, but still 6 of 11 overall.
Yep.
And that's a maturity and a difference I think you're seeing from Norman Powell this year, because there's more of a commitment to not just settle for the 3.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think, and don't get me wrong, he's splashing threes in
Yeah.
the games before, but it's still within the framework of the offense. You know what I mean? He'll let himself get hot before he's just routinely shooting threes. But I like that, especially early on, and you saw it in this game, his commitment was going to the basket first. And I was stunned at how my guy was driving to the basket and dunking. Like, he was finishing at the rim with dunks and off vert that I was stunned by. I was like, yo, how's my guy dunk that? Looks like he's kind of off balance, and he's still getting up there and dunking
It's
it.
like a half Euro step, and then he just launches.
Yes.
But I think it's his shot selection. It's not forced. It's all in the offense, which makes it look clean, and it just gives you a better look. It's all in rhythm.
A bit of confidence too. I know it's so cliche, but when we talked about Norm in previous seasons, it was always like 1 good Norm game, 3 bad Norm games, you know what I mean? And now that he has like the consistency going. I think that's being more positive and boosting his ego a bit, and he's making better shot selections. And like you said, and now he's knowing he's going to the cup more, driving. So I think his game all around has been amazing.
I think too. I know because of the Raptors' injuries this season.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of who's starting, who's coming off the bench, what's the bench rotation, a lot of that conversation. But I really honestly think as we see this consistency from Norm, to me, it's almost better for him to come off the bench because it's like, you know what your job is. Come off the bench and get buckets.
Yes.
You don't have to think too much. Like, yes, of course, we still want you to play defense. Yeah. Of course, we want you to move the ball. We want you to do whatever. But no, we need you to come off the bench. And I think sometimes when your role is coming off the bench and doing that, just give us energy, as opposed to start where it's like, okay, well, everyone's kind of feeling their way through the start of a game. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you just come off the bench, no. You get that ball, you go.
We had the same convo with Gasol last year, kind of coming.
Who should start? Who should come off the bench? Yes. And I mean, just to see what Norm's doing, I'm super impressed. And you just got to ride this out if you're the Raps for as long as you can, because I don't know how long it's going to go. But as of now, Norm Powell has been the Raptors' most consistent scorer over the past 15 games?
2 months, yeah.
But I think it's not about who's starting to come off the bench. I think it's just the confidence in knowing what his role is on this team.
Yeah.
And that whether it's off the bench or starting, he's playing a certain amount of minutes.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Whereas last year, if it was like if Kawhi went off, Norm might not get in the game or really play consistent minutes, right?
Yeah.
But in this game, Norm he knows he's playing whether it's 25, 30 minutes, and he knows what his role is.
It doesn't matter technically at the end of the game if you start or come off the bench, if you get somewhat of the same minutes as a starter anyway, right?
For sure. And so Norm, since I'm just looking at his box scores now, if you go back to December, so since December, Norm has only been in single digits once.
That's crazy.
Right? Oh, sorry, twice. 2 games. He had 8 points against the Sixers, and he had 9 points against the Pistons. Every other game, he's been in double figures. And if I just read out 15 points, 23, 14, 17, 22, 25, 26, 20, 23, 28, 20, 27, 18. Like, if you had told
Norm
me,
Powell.
Right? Like, that's Norm Powell? Yeah. His game log? Like, that's crazy. And again, he's doing that shooting 59% from the floor in this month, and he shot 54% from the floor in December. That's incredible. And shooting 42% from 3, 53% from 3 in the month of January.
I mean, that's going to come down, obviously, but like you said, he's cutting to the basket, which is an element to his game, creating his own shot. Like, that's huge, right?
But does it come down?
From 53%.
I mean, obviously,
yeah.
Okay.
Sure,
Obviously, obviously the shooting percentage. But I'm just talking about the overall production.
No, I was talking about his December percentage of 53.
So, I'm not expecting that all of a sudden Norm comes back down to earth and is giving us 8 points.
Yeah. Well, he's going to get game planned more now in the second half. Like, a lot of teams are going to.
I mean, the weird thing though about how this Raptor season has gone because of all the injuries,
someone else
Siakam started out hot, and he's kind of cooled off since he's come back from injury. But like, I'm not reading too much into that. But in terms of scouting reports, right, and how teams will match up for the Raps, you have games where Freddie's coming off and he's just splashing threes.
You really can't game plan against
it's
Toronto
tough.
Because whose game is it? Whose game is it?
It's
is
just too many
Serge
places
giving you a
double
double? Is Mark went off?
And Nick Nurse is loving it because he could just scheme and come at you with so many different rotations, right?
Yeah. You had 6 Raptors in double digits tonight, and Serge with 16 and 7 off the bench.
Well.
Serge played well, 6 and 9 from the floor. Mentioned Norm's 18. And then when you go to the starting lineup, Marc Gasol, who, Serge was balling, right? So at some point you knew the great start that Marc Gasol had in this game, and you're still kind of like, oh, is he going to check back in?
Yeah.
But Serge is playing so well, it didn't even really matter. And you look at Gasol, my guy finished 7 of 7 from the floor, 3 of 3 from 3, 17 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists.
And a fadeaway on Al Horford right in his eye.
But this is the thing about how his game's looked since he's come back.
He's
My guy's
refreshed.
hitting you with the full arsenal.
Full fadeaway.
Right?
Dude, that was
You're not-
Post
you're not-
moves,
there-
threes.
I don't remember the last time we've had it where Gasol gets the ball at the top of the key and just doesn't look at the basket.
Yeah.
Right? That,
He's not giving
like
one of these.
that passive,
that back
that
stretch
passive,
right into
I'm
pass.
over here to
yeah.
pass the ball, Gasol.
Yes. Yeah.
It's totally true.
That he hasn't.
Yeah.
He lost it when he was injured.
Well, whoever it was, I remember him saying when he came back, that whether it was the coaching staff or the other players on the team, everyone was in his ear while he was out of the lineup telling him, when you come back, we need you to shoot more. We need you to get busy. We need a bit more of the old Marc Gasol that can get buckets. Yeah. And you've seen that. It's exactly what you're talking about. He's way more aggressive in terms of looking for a shot, but how much more, and we talked about this from going back to last year, and I know everyone thinks I'm the Marc Gasol lover from last year, but one thing I've always maintained is I want to see him get more touches in the paint, because I felt that too often all of his points were just based off if his
Open
3-point
threes.
shots were going. And that's not even fair to him. It's not like he's Steph. But you can give him the ball in the post, give him the ball on a pick and roll, and he can score in the paint. He can beat many centers in this league.
And it makes his game so much more effective if the
sure.
defender doesn't know if he's going to turn and shoot, or he's going to pass it to the cut.
Which
right?
he hit off Siakam with a couple
Exactly.
of times in this game as well, which makes me so frustrated when I watch Pascal Siakam sometimes, because he gets some easy buckets just by cutting to the cup.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the time, we were talking about this during the game, Q, it looks like my guy's just like settling for, I'm going to be blunt, terrible shots. Shot selection from Pascal Siakam. He finished with 18 points, but was 8 of 23 in this game. And before we get to the negative, because I don't want to seem like I'm just bashing on Siakam, who's going to be named an all-star starter tomorrow, but he did have 15 rebounds in this game, which shows that you're getting on the glass and finding other ways to contribute. But in terms of shot selection, 8 of 23. What was it that you were seeing from Siakam in terms of his shot selection? Mikey, I'll start with you, man. Siakam's shot selection in this game alone. What did you like? What didn't you like? Or was he just missing shots?
We were saying this too, that it seemed like he was trying to do a little too much instead of doing a bit of ball movement, maybe getting the ball back in a better spot to shoot, right? Like he was even missing his quarter threes. Yeah. But it's kind of like it's in his head since he's come back, that, like you were saying, now the spotlight's kind of been on Norm. Freddie's been having 4 or 5 great games in a row, right? So it seems like he's trying to shoot his way back into a rhythm instead of letting the flow kind of just come to it, right?
Q, what do you think, man?
I think he's got to remember what got him that max contract.
That's
It wasn't being
Spin
ISO.
move, yes.
It wasn't being ISO Joe, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
totally right.
Like the versatility is what got you this, right? So, okay, your shot's not falling. Teams are still game planning for you. You're still getting double teams, right? You still got the team's best defender on you. Yeah. So, like, that's why I asked you earlier, is like, how many assists did he have? And yeah, he had 3, but he probably could have had 7, right? Where you're drawing in a double team and you're dishing to Norm or Fred or whoever's hot that game, right? Like, I think he has to learn. I think last year it was Kawhi's team. This year it's
somewhat his team.
We're
somewhat
told
his team.
it's Siakam's
It's
team.
told it's Siakam's team.
But that might not be.
It depends on who's on the floor.
And I think, and no doubt, he's our best player, right?
Okay.
But he, you have to be. He's not our best player to the point where you're a consistent 30 a night. You're not Giannis yet. You know what I mean? He's still growing. So I can't. So to just give him the ball and say, Siakam, give me 30, and everybody steps to the side, is not going to happen.
Someone named Obi on Twitter writes in and calls him ICP in this game.
Well played.
That was pretty good. Well played. I like that. I'm amused easily too, so funny jokes like that will always get read. But yeah, Siakam, I think the shot selection is just a matter of, I was saying it during the game, sometimes I think he shoots just cuz. And you don't have to do that in this Raptors offense. As you mentioned, if you trust the offense, trust the pass, give the ball up, get it back, it'll come back to you. And there's a moment in this game that I charted in the third quarter, right, where the Raptors offense is struggling. Norm bangs in a 3 to make it a 3-point game. And Norm's been playing well. Next time down the floor, Siakam drives out of control and gets called for an offensive foul. Okay. Next time back down the floor, Simmons gets a layup on a backdoor cut, beating Siakam to the basket. Okay. Siakam comes back down trying to score on Simmons and gets his shot blocked, then argues with the ref and takes a tee. And it's like, bro, you started the game like 6 of 17 or whatever it is. You see Norm getting some shots, pass the man the ball.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no need to force it in that instance. I get that it's a little bit of what you're talking about where he's seeing everyone else get off and it's like, oh, I got to get mine too. Yeah. But like you don't do that on this team.
Is it coincidence?
Kawhi didn't even do that last year.
But is this coincidence and this is touched to his ego that he made a statement today saying that he thinks he could win in an all-star one-on-one challenge? Right.
I don't know.
So
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah. So that's what he's thinking. So that's what I mean. Maybe that's in his head that he thinks
but it's not
that
even...
he could take anybody to the basket. Yeah. Like we're saying, instead of trusting your teammates and doing the ball movement, right?
But it's not even that. It's the defense. He's not a prolific 3-point shooter. So the defender off top is giving him that space, which is why he's settling for shots. But and it's fine if you take those first 2 or 3 shots. If you realize this game is not a shooting game for you, then you have to do other things. You have to get the ball in different spots on the floor, cut. Like a basket's a basket no matter how you get it. You don't need to bring the ball from our basket up the court one-on-one and not get anybody involved.
But not pass it once and shoot the ball. That's my thing. I don't like when anybody takes the ball, gets a rebound, comes down the floor, doesn't pass it at all, and just shoots it in the half court, right?
Yeah.
But I just think Siakam as well, he's getting used to the ball movement. And to elaborate on what you said earlier, Q, how you got here. The leak outs, right? Remember how many times the fast break Kyle Lowry passes,
touchdown pass,
right? Trust Marc Gasol, backdoor cuts, get your easy baskets like that going to the cup.
There's not too many power forwards that are going to be able to keep up on him on a jab, on a the V cut, and just
But the ISO Siakam, we don't need that. There's no need for
one-on-one.
But he's not there yet. Is what I'm saying. Is that he's not there yet?
Of course not. And as people are bringing up, people are talking about Siakam not getting foul calls. It's true. And the thing I keep bringing up is when the refs see you barreling to the basket out of control, they're rarely gonna call a foul on you. Right? They're rarely going to give you the foul call. If you're out of control and just kind of throwing it over your shoulder as you go to the basket out of control, they're not going to give you that foul call. But if you're going to the basket strong, as if you're trying to score through the contact, not away from the contact and throw it up, that you're more likely to get the call at that point. But someone who, contact or not, didn't matter. Oh, sorry. No, before I move on, I wanted to read this and ask you guys a question. Also ask you guys, if you're listening on Twitter at Shell Alexander or live on Instagram at Shell Alexander, let me know what you guys think. I'm going to ask a question and that's it. I'm not leading it in any way, but I'm going to say this. Pascal Siakam, we know he was averaging 25 a night before he went down with injury. And since he's come back from injury, 15 points, I'm reading the box scores, okay? 15 points on 6 of 17 shooting, 21 points on 9 of 15 shooting, 12 points on 3 of 9, 14 points on 6 of 10, 18 points on 6 of 13, and then tonight, 18 points on 8 of 23 shooting. So that's 16 points per game Pascal Siakam is averaging since he's come back from injury. Are you worried about that? Is that a trend, or do you think that's just him working his way back from a hamstring injury? What do you guys think? Is that something that's a trend that this is going to be, this is just what it is as everyone else has figured it out?
Is it maybe a trend on the Raptors offensive scheme? Like it seems like they're playing more of a slow down, pass the ball type, and maybe
or
that's
just more people involved in scoring.
Yeah. And you know what I mean? We were talking about a lot of majority of his points was that speed and that fast break and the open corner 3 coming off of a steal, and you know what I mean? And it feels like he's like you said, he's trying to shoot his way back.
Yeah.
I'm not worried though.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I think he's good enough where he's gonna have
to adjust.
Maybe the consistency may not be there, but I think he's good enough where he's gonna go off one game, have 30 points, and steal us a game. I just think he needs to learn how to be the number one option, right? It doesn't mean take the ball tell everybody to spread out and go ISO one-on-one, especially when you're playing against the other team's best defender. It means get the ball in positions where you're going to be the most effective.
I think he knows how to be the number one option. I just think it was under the way he wanted it to be in the beginning of the season. Now he just has to adjust. But the thing about Pascal is he's good at adjusting.
Beginning of the season, he wasn't. It wasn't so much. There wasn't so much ISO.
I mean, it was kind of. It had its moments where
there was the moments, but he did the other. He did do the other things.
True,
right?
I think,
where you give Gasol the ball and you cut to the basket.
Yeah.
Gasol, he got to do more of that. That's when he does those things. The scoring goes from the 18
uses his speed
to the 26, 28, 30, 32.
Yeah, I think too. Like there's also a big chunk at the start of the year, obviously when Lowry and Serge went down. So obviously his shooting numbers had to go up and he had to score more. But I also just think overall, 25 points a night for Pascal Siakam in year, 3? Yep. Year 4?
4.
That was going to be crazy.
Yeah, that's
right? Like,
league leading.
And the fact that he's down to like 23 or 22, like if he's averaging 20, that's more so what I would have thought he would have been at, that 20 to 22 range. Yep. And more importantly, I think it's better served for the Raptors as a team if you're getting more scoring from Marc Gasol as well as Norm, right? You're getting more scoring from those guys because
Pascal can go off.
Yeah. Right? Like him getting 25 each and every night. Yeah. I don't know how sustainable or how good that is for the rest of the team because that means he's taking that many more shots and it's less shots for other people.
I mean, he's taking that many shots, but he's not hitting it. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's more of an even game plan as opposed to just feed it into.
Yeah, but he's taking that many shots because he's forcing those shots up.
Yeah.
But like we said,
what I'm saying is if because he's a mismatch in most, I would say in most matchups, right? Whether he's bigger than a small forward, he's quicker than the average power forward. If he does the other things, cut to the basket, get the ball off screens, and doing all those type of things, the game is going to be so easy for him.
Yeah, he's a quick learner.
Yeah, no, super interesting for sure. Pascal Siakam, still at the end of the day, as mentioned, I'm pretty sure he's going to get named an All-Star starter tomorrow night on TNT, which is crazy. And I looked this up earlier today. But if Siakam does get named an All-Star starter, that means the Toronto Raptors will be the only team in the NBA to have someone start in the All-Star game since 2015. No other team has done that. Had someone start in the All-Star game since 2015, each and every year.
Golden State? No?
Steph's not going to start this year.
That's right, this year, yeah.
Right? Steph's out. Steph's not going to start this year. Clay's out. So it would have been Steph, but Steph's out. So it went Kyle Lowry, DeMar, Kawhi, and then this year.
That's crazy, yeah.
Right? When you think about it, if you were to say which team has had an all-star starter.
An all-star.
Yeah, an all-star starter.
Yeah,
every year since 2015.
And the fact it hasn't just been one guy like a LeBron that just does it back-to-back.
It's amazing. So again, shouts to Pascal because he is just having a good year as well. And, it's not all negative, and I still rep the fact that my guy's out here rebounding. He's still trying. You saw Nick Nurse talking to him, trying to talk him up and keep him going.
Even Fred, at the end of the game, when I said Fred kind of put his arm around him and whispered something to him.
Fred's becoming a big leader.
I think, like we were saying, people can see that,
he's pressing too much.
Exactly.
He's pressing too much. But let's get to some comments as something we love to do on this pod. As mentioned, this is Wrap It Up, which is the only live and interactive Raptors post-game show, which means we take the comments and questions of the people, which we take them live on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Same thing goes for Twitter. Live stream questions and comments coming in fast at Shell Alexander. So let's start with Matthew, who says... Matthew on Instagram, Matthew's on Twitter, and Matthew says he's playing less minutes now in reference to Siakam. Siakam's on a minutes restriction. He's playing less minutes, and I don't even know if it's a minutes restriction from the injury, but I know that Nick Nurse is making a point now because all those guys played heavy minutes early on.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So him, Kyle, their minutes are coming down. So by nature, is that the reason possibly why his points are down? Just because he's not playing as many minutes, maybe?
No, I think it's actually his play. He is forcing it, and right now his shot's not there.
Yeah.
Right? If his shots, if he makes, what did he shoot? 1 of 8? If he shoots 3 of 8, that's an extra, right? That's an extra couple points, and we're not having this conversation.
Yeah, but the Raptors are still winning, right?
Yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
Massive.
Still winning. So, I mean, he'll get it together.
Let's switch to Instagram as I'm going to read a couple in a row here because we got a bunch of people commenting on Siakam. Asmi says, nice to see Pascal still keep his head up even though he had a not so great game. Coach Flores on Instagram says,
Coach Flores.
Shout out to Coach.
Yes.
He says, I think the injury has affected his game. Something is off. I think he's okay to play, but he doesn't look the same post-injury. Not worried. It will work itself out. Glow Girl Smile says, Siakam's speed seems to be off.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's a thing where, as you get back to game speed and game action, your moves might not be just as crispy as they were at the start
That's
of the
his
year.
superpower is the speed, right? So, I mean,
Yes.
like, he's trying to kind of play without it at full strength.
Yeah, and credit to everyone in the chat. Everyone's saying they're not worried either. Neither are we, right? So it's just what we're talking about, what we do on the pod, right? We share observations.
And that's the thing about this year's Raptors team is when someone isn't playing well or goes down with an injury, someone else steps up big. So
for sure. Lisa on Twitter checks in and says, Siakam wasn't all bad. He was defending well, so I'm not mad at him. He is going to be fine. He's coming off injuries. Totally agree.
Yep.
Len on Twitter, on Instagram. Len says, not worried at all. We knew this is part of Pascal's growth. Let him figure this out. And that's a reminder, right? Like, this is his first year of prime time action, right? And my guy's still putting in work. And hey, there's no reason to be worried, right? Yeah?
nope, I'm not.
Not at all.
Not at all. Let's talk about someone else that had a big boy game, and that is Mr. Freddie VanVleet. And I know we've gone, 30 minutes without
mentioning it. Save the best for last.
But, I mean, this guy has had such an interesting season because we know he's been dealing with nagging injuries. I still go back to the fact that I'm kind of surprised that the Raptors have been going this long with the Fred and Kyle backcourt.
Yeah.
But Freddie will have these games every once in a while where his three-point shot is just blinging. My guy finished 6 of 7 from beyond the arc in tonight's game. 22 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. But Q, I'm going to say this. To me, what was more impressive, tell me if you agree or not, was when Freddie was making those threes. Because I felt like there were moments where the Sixers were coming on and Freddie was like the run stopper, like, nah, we got this. When Freddie's hitting like that, how big is that for this Toronto Raptors team?
I mean, it's just another weapon, like we've been saying. Like Siakam, if he's not giving you 25 to 30, it doesn't matter because we only need 18 because Norm's also giving you 18 and Fred's giving you 18 and Kyle's giving you 15 and Serge and
The depth.
everybody's right. So we don't really at this point. Like, sorry to go back to Siakam, but we don't need that number one guy who's just going out being the lead.
I'm going to pause you for 1 second because that's exactly what our guy here, Pastor Wesley, says. Let's be thankful we don't have to rely on Pascal to drop 30-plus a night to win. We good.
Right?
Yep.
Exactly.
Exactly what you're saying. Continue, my dude.
Right? So that's what I'm saying is that although Siakam is our star, our all-star this year, all-star starter, and our best player, the gap is not Kawhi and the guys, right? It's not Pascal and the rest of the Raptors. It's Pascal, Fred, Kyle, Serge, Norm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
everybody, right?
Also, the big thing about how Freddie played today was that it gave Kyle extra minutes on the bench,
Yeah.
right? Like Nick Nurse had the unit out of, I think it was RHJ and TD. Fred was leading the charge with Ibaka, right? And I remember I even told you, like, holy, when are you going to put Kyle in? And then you said, he's on a little bit of a minute restriction here, but it was a close game at that time.
Kyle was back up to 35 in this game after being below 30 the last 3, I want to say.
But there was a big chunk of the end of the third and most of I think he came back in with about 7 minutes left in the game, and Freddie took over in the first of the beginning of the fourth quarter, right? Big shots, playing like a true floor general. And if you go back to his last 3 games, you said he hit 6 of 7 from beyond the arc.
Yeah.
I think it was 1 of 4 the last game, and then 8 of 9 or 7 of 8 the game before. So out of the last 19 threes, he's hit 14.
It's
That's like 72%, right? Like, that's crazy.
Glow Girl Smile checks in on Instagram and says, Freddie got the timely shots and changed the momentum of the game. Totally agree. Like, Freddie, when he's hitting those shots, those are just like, to use Freddie's own term, those are the FU threes.
And they don't even hit
There
the
was
rim.
one
It's
he
all
hit-
mesh.
There was one, he hit the three and then came back down the floor and pulled up from like 5
Yeah.
feet beyond. Those are the FU threes.
We called it. Yeah, it's going in. Like, that
Yeah.
was-
know what else?
know it's going in.
I've noticed too that we all know Kyle and Serge have their little spot up elbow shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems Freddie and Serge are getting a little bit more comfortable
Yeah.
playing together as well. I've noticed a couple little plays
One thing
today.
I really give Fred VanVleet a lot of credit this year. He's done a way better job in running the pick and roll
Yeah.
with Serge.
Yeah.
Just in terms of hitting him in stride.
Knowing
hitting
where to get him the ball. Yeah.
Exactly. Where to get the bounce, hit him in the pocket pass so Serge can get it and just go.
So you could put Serge with both of them. You could put Serge with Fred or Serge with Kyle when Fred's on, and you know that Serge is going to be more effective, and that's what he has been, right?
Totally.
We were talking about that earlier, but we're going to need that in the playoffs
Yeah.
because you're playing bigger teams. I think, especially against a Philly, you're going to need Mark and Serge on the court
Yeah.
Yeah.
for a majority. And so having the fact that you could, whether it's Kyle running the offense or Fred running the offense, there's still that fluidity there.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And it's going to be super interesting to see because, whatever happens in the playoffs, I have no idea, right?
Hopefully we get Orlando,
but-
and then Brooklyn.
But as it goes along, it's like this whole season is kind of a test run to see, okay, who do you have in crunch time? Who
Yeah.
does get the ball? Who's making the decisions? As Austin points out on Instagram, Austin says, Freddie changed the momentum just like Norm did last game. And that's what makes us so good,
True.
right? And going back to Norm's game against the Hawks, where my guy's just like splashing threes. When you see stuff like that, and these guys, again, I say this a lot, I think the Raptors have pretty decent 3-point shooters. But the way that they play when these guys are getting great looks because they're wide open, and that's when you see these guys splashing them. And when they're hitting like that, they're tough to beat.
I have a question, just what goes around this. And it's just so we all know, obviously, to win a championship, you do want to have that star. Nowadays, those 2 stars. But is this going to be something as a copycat league where they're going to see what Masai's done with the Raptors, and if they can't attract the Giannis or the Kawhis, do you think they're going to go for plan B and go with kind of the depth that the Raptors have?
I don't know.
7
it's
strong,
super interesting,
right?
Because I think like the really good teams, and I know it sounds crazy to compare the Raps to the Spurs because the Spurs have had 20 plus years of being good, but the reason for that is because it hasn't mattered where they're drafting.
Yeah.
They find players that fit into their system.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it starts. Having a system that's your foundation. And so now you're plugging in guys who are going to play defense, right?
Yep.
But then who also can knock down shots. And I think that that's the key where most teams mess up. Because look at teams that have been crap. And I'm going to use Cleveland as an example because minus the LeBron years, what is that team?
yeah.
But they've drafted pretty solid players. They've had pretty good players on their team. But they have no system. They have no identity, right? And look at even other teams, Orlando's been a team that's been in the draft lottery forever and ever. Keep having
Phoenix.
a chance to draft teams. Phoenix, yeah. But these teams have no identity. And you look at the Raps and you say, how do they do it with undrafted dudes and dudes not drafted in the lottery? And it's system. This is what we do. We play hard defense and we run and try to push the pace on offense and we share the ball. This is our system. I think that's a key to success. Because look at the Hawks, right? It's just Trae Young getting empty stats.
Yeah. Playing no D.
No
Just shooting.
defense. Vince Carter's getting minutes for whatever reason. Like, what is that?
But this is the NBA though. So I think
True.
So I think it's the fact of where these guys started that allows them to have become the players that they are. These guys weren't all-American, AAU superstars, one-and-done players, right? Those guys come into the league and think, I'm the next whatever,
Yeah.
right? So to be Phoenix, who has you know, who
Booker
knows,
and
4,
Ayton
5,
and-
6
yeah,
lottery
all
picks on
top
the
3
team
picks, yeah.
to get them to buy into a system.
Yeah.
They've never played in a system their whole lives. They don't know what that is, right?
Yeah.
None of them were told you're not going to make it.
So it's
in the
hard to
NBA,
it's hard to copy
right?
what the
Whereas
Raptors have done.
These guys have fought and clawed their
Yeah.
way to being even, you know, half decent NBA players. Now they're champions.
Yeah.
Right? It just their mindset is different than the guy who went to college as an All-American, one and done player
Selfish a
who
little.
comes into the NBA as
Yeah.
the number 3 overall pick
Yeah.
and just thinks, you know, in a couple of years I'm going to be a $20 million player. These guys are still fighting for that. Siakam's the only one that's actually kind of gotten to that level where he's a max player and he's now a star in the league. Fred's still fighting for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kyle just now got that.
Yeah.
I mean, heck,
TD's next,
Kyle was basically
OG
holding
still.
out in training camp to make sure he
Yeah.
still got his last
Yeah.
deal.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's totally true. It's an interesting
Right?
point.
Even Kyle wasn't. I mean, Kyle fought his way to being
What
who
he
he
is.
is,
was, yeah.
right? And even when he got there, he was still doubted until this year,
Yeah.
right? Until he has a ring on his finger. So, I think just their whole mentality is different.
It's a testament to Masai and the Raptors brass, definitely.
Oh yeah, and here's a dope stat. As someone writes in on Instagram to give us this stat here, ESPN just posted a stat that the Raps are the first team to have everyone who scored finish with 15 plus points since 1996. So think about that. Everyone who scored for the Raptors in tonight's game. So again, that's Siakam with 18, Gasol with 17, Lowry with 16, VanVleet with 22, Serge with 16, and Norm with 18.
Wow. Yeah, because OG got 0.
OG
Yeah.
had 0. He started in 20
TD,
minutes.
yeah.
Rondé had 0 points in 14 minutes. TD had 0 points in 13 minutes. And McCaw played, but not really.
Kudos to the stat crunchers at ESPN.
That's
Put
crazy.
in some work there to
That's
find that,
crazy.
right? Good stat.
It's just a crazy night for the Toronto Raptors and a good solid win. Because again, I know Philly doesn't have Embiid,
Yeah.
but if there's one team that's not going to really care
Yeah.
about your injuries, it's the Toronto Raptors, who have played this whole entire season dealing with the injury bug. And I mean, you look at their record coming into tonight's game, they were 2-7 against the top teams in the Eastern Conference. That means Milwaukee, Boston, Miami, Indy. That's it, right? Miami. Or did I say Miami?
Yeah, you said
But anyways, the top teams in the Eastern Conference, they came into this game 2-7. Now, if you take a deeper look into that, there's a lot of those games where the Raptors didn't even have 3 of their starters.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a tough grind, but if you're Philly, this is a thing you got to go through, and the Raptors got to play who's in front of you and win those games.
Really and truly, you know, obviously Embiid is not a scrub, but if Embiid came into Toronto and had a game like he's had the last couple of times against
Wouldn't have
Toronto,
mattered anyway.
Exactly.
with the way Toronto shot today, it's a blowout game because it's their bench and those guys coming in making shots that kept them in the game.
Yep.
Definitely true. Totally agree. Totally agree. Austin says we don't have one closer. It's whoever is hot is our closer.
Pretty
True.
much.
We like that, right? We like
I mean,
that mentality.
leading the division, right? Would you have thought at the All-Star break that the Raptors would be leading the division pretty
Yes.
much by the All-Star break?
I didn't think that. No, I did not think that.
I mean,
Well,
I don't know if I would have
Did
put my
you hear
money on that.
Masai's comments last night?
We're going to die trying.
Yeah, but after that, he was like, he went on for a bit, and he was like, what these guys have done with the injuries, they've shown you. He's like, we owe it. He essentially was saying that he owes it to them to like see what happens.
So here's
here.
a good question for
But also Masai said his whole point too, because what were you just saying? You were just saying I just completely
leading
lost
the
my-
division.
Leading the division. Yes, sorry. Masai basically said
Everyone done
nobody would have thought that. He's like there's not one person that would have thought at the start
I'm
of the
sure there's
year
one,
with
but
all these injuries that the Toronto Raptors would be where they are in third place with a shot at second in the conference. Nobody would have thought that.
They're in second.
And to hear that from Masai,
Yeah.
he's saying with a shot at second.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And he's
Yeah,
like,
'cause
to hear
Miami,
that
you're
from
right, yeah.
Masai, right? That's
Yeah.
when I was like, first off, shouts to you for being so candid as you always are. But also, he's right. It's been an incredible run for these
has.
guys. And they just keep cooking. And it's I've gotten to the point now where almost like, you know what I say about Kyle Lowry, where I'm like, I've gotten out of the business of trying to predict what Kyle Lowry is going to do night in, night out. I kind of don't know what the Raps are going to do this season. And that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I
Yeah.
don't have any expectations at all because it's just like, ride the wave. And I was already thinking that because of the championship.
Yeah.
But now just the way that the season has gone along, it's like, I don't know, man. I'm just going to enjoy what the fuck's going on. And I don't know.
And
Enjoy the
like,
playoff run.
like I said, with the success that they have, like another good little question for people to chime in on is, if you could put your GM hat on, do you stand pat with this team and let it ride? Do you sacrifice a piece to get something bigger?
I stand
like,
pat. I stand pat. I'm not sacrificing anything big, and I'm not giving up any of my young guys.
Norm was the only one you could have really with that salary anyways, and
But
you don't want to trade
not-
him, right?
But I'm even not giving up any of my young guys.
TD or
to,
Chris or-
no,
yeah.
like, so I'm standing pat mostly just because I'm like, we still haven't seen what this team is
Healthy.
at full strength.
Yeah.
And so you want to give them a chance. They've earned the right to at least bare minimum let these guys ride it out and defend their chip.
True.
Whatever happens, I wouldn't even be mad if they lose in the first. And I'm not saying before all the comments start coming at me.
They're not, but yeah.
I'm saying if they were to
If.
lose in the first round, I wouldn't. You can't even blame these guys because
They had a great
they
regular
put in
season.
work in this season
Yeah.
and earn the right to roll the dice and say, "Hey, let's see what happens."
Yeah.
Q.
Yeah, if anything, if you make, like I said, the
Small
same we said
depth
earlier,
move.
the small depth move, like one extra big man to come off the bench,
Yeah.
veteran big man to come off the bench for added fouls and defense, something like that. But every other position, I think we have our
Set.
1 and 2.
Yeah. And you don't want to get yourself in like a Kevin Love salary thing that messes you up for 2021, right?
I just think of all the guys that are mentioned, the Kevin Loves, the Tristans, the Drummonds, I don't think any of those guys is like you get that guy knowing you're that he definitely
that you can
puts
beat the
over
Bucks,
top,
yeah,
right?
and or the Lakers or
Right?
Clippers, yeah.
You're still going into Milwaukee or Philly,
Yep.
and it's still going to be a dogfight.
I don't think you
Right?
sacrifice
There's no-
your
there's
future
no-
and cap room.
There's no Kawhi
for,
out there,
yeah.
right?
Len checks in on Instagram and says, "Agreed. If this team can get into the finals, they'll be reminiscent of the Bad Boys Pistons." I think it just means in terms of like not having the like top end,
The
high end
Billups and the
superstar.
Rasheeds and yeah.
I mean, it's a very interesting point. Yeah, winning without a superstar, that's super interesting. But I mean, hey, as of right now, Toronto Raptors are winners as they
Yes.
beat the Philadelphia 76ers 107-95. Leading the way, Fred VanVleet, 22 points on 6 of 7 shooting from beyond the arc. Give him also some 8 assists.
Big game.
Big game for Freddie leading the way. Norm continues his hot play with 18 points off the bench for the Raps. Solid game from Kyle. Kyle with 16 points. Great night all around. Serge and Gasol had it going. Great night for the Toronto Raptors. A big win as they improve to 30-14. They've won their 5th game in a row. Yes, 5th game in a row.
think 8
The
out of
Toronto
10.
Raptors have won, and they just continue to roll.
Yeah.
And if you look ahead to their schedule,
New York Knicks on Friday.
there's some winnable
Juicy
games
ones,
coming
yeah.
up, right? There's some winnable games coming up. And I mentioned this to Q earlier. And I know a lot of people always talk about your national TV games, right? And how, why aren't the Raptors on ESPN more? Why aren't they on TNT more? Which I don't even know why we care about because we can't see those games in Canada. But it's a thing Raptors fans get mad about.
Get the TSN feed anyway.
Yo, man, remember what company we're talking about?
Yeah.
Why is that the company you mentioned? Anyway, I'm joking. But anyways, right? The one thing I mentioned to Q earlier on is how much do you really want those national TV games? Because the one thing, and this is a real like deep dive nerdy thing I'm going to bring up right now. But if you pay attention to the NBA schedule, as soon as football ends, right? You get Saturday night games on ABC and you get Saturday or Sunday afternoon games on ABC. And all of those games are always big boy teams, meaning if you look at the Lakers schedule down the stretch, the Celtics, the Bucks,
Lakers, yeah.
those schedules are way harder because you have to play those, you have to fill those
Good
national
point, yeah.
TV spots. On Tuesday night, that new D-Wade night that they're having with Shaq, then your normal Thursday with Chuck and Kenny. Then you're talking about Saturday night on ABC and Sunday afternoon on ABC. Those games all got to be filled with Lakers, Clippers, Bucks, Sixers. So, like, how much do you really want to be in that mix?
True.
Right? I'm just saying.
I'll take the Orlando's, Pelicans.
Atlanta back-to-backs. And,
Give me
go.
those.
Yeah.
Give me Jack and Leo and Pelicans.
New York Knicks
that.
basketball.
Exactly.
Let's go. Yeah, so the Raptors play on Friday. They got the New York Knicks. Sunday
In New York, right?
In New
Yep.
York. Then Sunday they're in San Antonio. Tuesday they get the Hawks. Thursday they get the Cavs.
Wow.
Friday they get the Pistons.
Wow.
Sunday they get the Bulls.
Wow.
So what you're saying is, by the time they play another big boy game, they might be 40 and 14.
That is crazy.
Then they play a home and home with the Indiana Pacers, and that's all the way at February 5th and February 7th.
And then the All-Star break,
Oladipo
right?
might be back for those games.
Oladipo's March 1st, I heard.
Is it March 1st? I
That's
thought it
what
was before that.
Oh, is it?
I thought it was the end of this month.
Oh, maybe it was Feb
Maybe
1st
that's
then.
Zion.
Zion's
No,
tonight.
I thought it was. No, I'm pretty sure
Is it?
Oladipo was supposed to be end of this month.
Again, though, the
hopefully
main purpose, though, the Raptors' upcoming schedule: Knicks, Spurs, Hawks, Cavs, Pistons, Bulls.
My bad. It was Steph Curry supposed to be back March 1st. You're right.
That's an easy.
That's a very easy
for the
schedule.
Raptors. So hey, pad your stats, Pascal.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Get back into the good scoring books.
And that's probably the best thing for Pascal because you know how he likes to torch those.
He
bottom
torches
basement
those teams. Yeah, those teams will get cooked.
Yeah.
We can rest Kyle Lowry a bit, definitely with those upcoming games.
Boucher can get some minutes.
Yes, Boucher can get back into the
Can we
minutes.
talk about OG real quick?
Sure.
You have time? All right. Because there's a lot of comments about OG and
Okay.
should Norm be starting over him, and so I wanted to get your guys' kind of take on OG currently.
It's all your perspective on what you want OG to be. If you want him to be like when you have a team with so many weapons and consider the depth like this, then make your perspective on OG the guy that you put on the number one option on the other team. He's your defender, right? Yeah. If you
that's
go
his role
in,
to me.
if you go in thinking OG's got to get 12, okay, fine. Let OG get 16, 18 points, but he's not playing as well defensively. So if you just think of him as a stopgapper, put him on the best player on the other team, and whatever you get out of him, whether it's 8 points, 4 points, 10 points, is a bonus. That's the way I look at OG.
Yeah, I think
That's what you should.
Sheldon, go ahead.
To me, with OG, I'll be honest. Like, I was expecting more from OG, just in the sense that, like, and I think it was more based off the talk or the hype surrounding it, because people tried to make it seem that because he was out all of last year, they're expecting the leap that Siakam took or
Yes.
something at least
Which isn't
looking like
fair.
that, which exactly isn't really fair. Now, the one thing that I think is kind of the blessing, with that all said, you're still kind of at the point where you don't really need him. Like, you need him to be good. Like, it'd be great if he was way better. But the fact that he's still coming along slowly, but still giving you good defense, still having decent games here and there where he'll pop up and get you high teens to 20s.
Yep.
But you're still not getting that consistent 15 a night from OG, which I think is kind of the disappointment, because he has every opportunity to do that. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm more happy with the fact that the Raps still are okay. They're still doing really well with the fact that he hasn't taken the leap that you might have hoped for at the start of the year.
But we forget that he is actually younger in age than Terrence Davis is, right? So he's still got
For sure. Totally.
tons of time to get his offensive game going.
That was kind of my take. Like right now, offensively, and I guess this is what everybody's trying to saying, where OG hasn't lived up to the hype yet, is offensively, but he's our seventh option.
Yeah.
How much points was your seventh option? Like, look around the league at the other team's seventh.
Still on his
scorer,
rookie contract, like you
right?
said.
Like,
too,
yes, he
right?
starts,
So-
but he starts because he's a versatile defender. He's 6'8" and playing the two spot.
Yeah.
He can guard pretty much any position on the floor. Right? He was guarding Trae Young the other day. Right? So that's his role. That's his strength on this team right now. But he's our seventh leading scorer.
And you're not
Right?
paying him that much. Where
Right?
if you were paying him a lot, he signed
And
a
I
big
think-
contract.
right.
Then
And
you would
I think-
expect more.
And I think just like last year, where it was supposed to be his breakout year, and it ended up being Siakam's.
Siakam's, yeah.
This year, it's Fred and Norm.
Yeah.
Right? No, everybody thought OG was going to be doing what Norm is doing now.
Yeah.
But if OG's doing that, Norm's not. So it just so happened that somebody else took that offensive leap before
And
OG.
were you expecting this from Fred? not this
Not
much.
this.
Right? Like I was like Freddie, you thought that okay, Fred might take another step, he get more minutes. I wasn't expecting Fred to start, and I wasn't expecting him to succeed this much starting either. So it's interesting. While the expectations were heaped upon OG, as you mentioned, we've seen Fred and Norm sort of step forward and they've taken that,
Next big step.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to read one last comment here before we get out. And Len says, I feel like this is a good one to end on. Len says, I feel like it's been a while since anyone has teased Sheldon with his 7th seed prediction.
That's why I asked if he thought the Raptors would be leading the division at the All-Star break.
4, 5,
6.
Sorry. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Indiana, Orlando, Brooklyn, Detroit. You thought they would be in those positions.
Somewhere there.
But they're
anyways,
not.
Fair enough. Fair
Raptors.
enough. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. And of course, Q, tell the people where they can hit you up in the meantime, between time, here on the Wrap It Up podcast.
Same place as always, people. Simply _ Q on all social media. That's Instagram. Sorry, not all social media. I don't do all that other stuff, but just Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
And then also catch us at either myself or Ola, who's usually here, at DDS Caps again.
Yes.
Twitter and Instagram. And check out our stuff at ddscaps.com.
Mike
_Bello _6. Instagram, hit me up. Glad to be back. Good game to be back.
Good game to be back.
Fun as usual, man.
Great game to be back. Great to have you guys back. And thank you guys for tuning in. Whether you were live on our Instagram feed, rocking it out, great conversation there at Sheldon Alexander. Instagram feed's about to go down, but shouts to you guys. Really appreciate you guys, the OGs on the Instagram feed. Same thing goes for the Twitter feed that continues to grow at a great rate. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in on that Twitter feed live after each and every Toronto Raptor game at Shell Alexander, because again, we are the only live and interactive Toronto Raptors post-game show. And you know what? We don't get to do that without you guys. So blessings. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And of course, if you ever miss the podcast or you want to support us, like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts: iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube. Just search On Blast Podcast. Again, On Blast is the network. Wrap It Up is the show. Really appreciate you guys tuning in, because I say it all the time. Wouldn't be able to do this without you guys repping and supporting the pod and growing it to where it is now, where, hey, I'm sick and I got mad people hitting me up being like, are you okay? Hope you're doing all right. When are you coming back? When's Wrap It Up back? And that means a lot. That means so much.
Yes,
we do this and it's fun talking to you guys and having fun and joking around about the raps and getting different people's opinions. So really hope that you guys enjoy the ride as well. Because as I always say, I used to pray for times like this
to rhyme like this.
This is the Wrap It Up On Blast Raps post-game show. As always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya. On blast.